Hey folks, CherylLivingForHealth.com, and today I want to talk about hip tightness. What is it? What are some things that we could do about it? And as a bonus, how does it possibly affect our golf swing? So today I want to specifically look at the ability to tilt the pelvis. There's an anterior tilt, which means forward, and a posterior tilt, which means backwards. We want not only the ability to tilt our pelvis, but we want to be able to do it with control. This is very important in general, but also within the golf swing. So we're going to talk about both of those things. So first, what is it? Let me demonstrate the anterior tilt. I'm going to put my hands on my shoulders here just to be able to demo this. The anterior tilt is moving that pelvis forward, which means arching your back. Posterior is the opposite and curling in, really curling that tailbone there. So we have an anterior tilt and a posterior tilt. So there's anterior, posterior. Give that a try. Can you do both positions, not just one? Can you do both, and can you do it with control? Now, if this is something that's challenging for you, again, whether it's ability or control, I want to give you a few things that you could do about it. But first, let's talk about why this is important. I'm going to pick up my golf club here because a lot of people don't know that we actually do tilt our pelvis forward and backwards within the golf swing. And it's very hard to see because the golf swing is so fast. So here's what actually happens and why this is so important. When I'm going into that backswing, there is a slight anterior tilt in my pelvis here, but even more so into that backswing as I'm coming down here and we're driving that power and our lower body is really driving that power here. It is so important that when we make contact at impact, we are actually at about 10 or 20 degrees posteriorly tilting our pelvis. This is such a huge part of what drives power in our swing. So if we don't have ability or control to tilt our pelvis in either direction, there's a few things that could happen. The most common characteristic in the swing, if you don't have that ability to tilt your pelvis, is that you might do something called early extend. So if I don't have that ability to tilt when I make contact with the ball, I might do something that's called early extension. So I might stand up. I can't tilt here, so I'm going to bring it forward, and essentially I'm going to lose power. But if I early extend, I'm also going to come out of posture. So this could lead to a lot of different things. For one, inconsistency, which we don't need any more of. But second, it could lead to a lot of compensations, which in turn can lead to a lot of injury. So what are some things that we could do to help prevent this and help improve our power, especially as we're making contact with the swing? I want to give you 3 drills here. One is a neurological drill, also a stretch, and an exercise to help with this. Here's our first drill. This is a mobility drill to really help wake up a good part of that hip. This is called a hip pendulum. Now I've got a golf club in my hands here. I like to think I have pretty good balance, but for this particular exercise, I like the assistance here. And what I'm going to do is lift one leg where my knee is at 90 degrees, and I'm going to treat the lower part of my leg as if it were a pendulum. So I am concentrating on my hip joint here, and I'm simply swinging my foot back and forth, trying to keep the top of that leg still, getting that rotation at the hip joint here. I'm doing this with some speed here, and what this does, I only need to do it about 10 or 15 times. That's all it really takes, and it's really waking up that hip joint here. So give that a try. It's a hip pendulum. Do it on both sides. It's also a great drill that you could do before you swing a club, whether you're going to the driving range or on the course. Drill number 2. This one is super helpful, and again, something I would highly recommend doing before you swing a club. It looks a little silly, but it's really helpful, and it really is what we call a pelvic tilt test. But what we're doing is not only doing this in a golf posture, we're doing it with some assistance, so it really helps with the control portion of it. So all we're doing is tilting our pelvis in both directions, but again, we're going to do it with some assistance. So I'm going to use my golf club here. This is something that I do regularly because I don't have 100% control when I tilt my pelvis, which might be noticeable. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is I want to get in a golf posture, about a 5 or 6 iron posture here. Okay, so I'm in my posture. I'm using this for assistance. And what I'm going to do, I want to keep the top of my body still, and I'm going to arch my back and curl. Arch and curl. So I am tilting the pelvis anteriorly and posteriorly, and I want to do this maybe about 8 times. And it really helps practice with the pelvic tilt, again, with the ability, but it also helps with the control. Super important. The final drill is a cat-cow, so this should look familiar. This is yet another great exercise and mobility drill to really help get that control in the pelvis and work on having that ability and control of tilting your pelvis in both directions, which again will contribute highly to your golf swing. So I'm on my knees, I'm going to get on my hands as well, and I'm going to do the same thing. I want to start by arching the back and curling it. Anterior tilt and posterior tilt. What you want to make sure is that you're only tilting at your lower back, not at your thoracic spine. So really concentrate on moving that lumbar spine. And again, anterior, posterior. And you want to maybe do about 10 or 15 of those, and you'll be in great shape. So there you have it with regard to hip tightness and specific to the ability to tilt the pelvis. If you don't have that ability or control, give those 3 drills a try. These are also great stretches before a general workout, especially a full body workout. So give them a try. If you have any questions or comments or thoughts, please feel free to reach out anytime. This is Cheryl, Living for Health. Thanks so much for watching.